How many times have you said something in anger and regretted it later? How many times have you reacted without thinking and lost a friend, a job, a chance, or even your peace of mind? The truth is, most of the battles we lose in life, we lose not because of others, but because of our own reactions. Tonight, I will tell you the story of a man who learned the most powerful secret of life: not reacting. And his lesson might just change yours forever. There was once a young man named Samir. He grew up in a busy town filled with noise, competition, and endless demands. His father was a shopkeeper, his mother a school teacher. They worked hard to give him a decent life. And from the outside, it seemed like Samir had everything a young man needed. But Samir had one weakness. He could not control his emotions. When a teacher criticized him, he snapped back. When his friends teased him, he fought them. When something didn't go his way, he shouted, slammed doors, and stormed out. People often said, "Samir is smart, but his anger will destroy him." And they were right. Samir was in college when his habit of reacting first began to cost him dearly. One afternoon, during a group project, a classmate named Imran made a small joke about Samir's handwriting. It was harmless, everyone laughed lightly, but Samir's face turned red. "Say that again," he shouted, slamming his notebook on the desk. The laughter turned to silence. Imran raised his hands. "Relax, Yar, I was just joking." But Samir didn't stop. He stormed out of the room, leaving his group members shocked and embarrassed. Later, they replaced him in the project, submitting it without his name. He failed the course. It was just a joke, but his reaction cost him 6 months of study. Years later, Samir got his first office job. He was talented, hardworking, and full of ideas. But his inability to stay calm followed him like a shadow. One day, during a meeting, his manager criticized his report in front of everyone. "Samir, this is not professional. You should double-check your data before presenting." Samir's chest tightened. He felt heat rising in his face, and before he could stop himself, he snapped. "If you think you can do better, then why give me the work at all?" The room froze. His manager's eyes widened. The silence was heavy. That one reaction sealed his fate. By the end of the month, Samir was asked to resign. But perhaps the biggest cost of his reactions came in his personal life. Samir fell in love with Aisha, a kind and gentle woman who cared for him deeply. At first, their relationship was full of warmth, but Samir's habit of reacting without thought began to poison it. When Aisha was late to meet him, he accused her of not caring. When she disagreed with him, he raised his voice. When she tried to explain, he cut him off with harsh words. One evening, after yet another argument, Aisha's eyes filled with tears. "Samir, I love you, but I cannot live in fear of your reactions anymore." She left that night, and she never came back. Samir's world collapsed. He lost his job, he lost his love, even his parents grew tired of his temper. One evening, after a heated argument with his father, Samir stormed out of the house and wandered through the empty streets. His chest ached, his head pounded, and for the first time in his life, he felt utterly broken. "Why does this keep happening to me? Why do I keep losing everything?" he muttered, punching the air in frustration. That night, he sat alone on a park bench until dawn. And there, in the silence, he realized something. It wasn't the world against him. It was his own inability to control himself. The next morning, Samir made a decision. He would no longer be a slave to his reactions. But how? He began to study. He read books about psychology, self-control, mindfulness. He watched videos, listened to lectures, and practiced meditation. At first, it was almost impossible. When someone cut him off in traffic, his blood boiled. When his father scolded him, his tongue burned with words he wanted to spit out. When things went wrong, his fists clenched automatically. But this time, he tried something new. Instead of reacting, he paused. He took a deep breath. He reminded himself, not every battle is worth fighting. Not every word deserves an answer. Slowly, painfully, step by step, Samir began to change. One afternoon, while waiting in line at a government office, a stranger pushed past Samir and muttered something rude. The old Samir would have grabbed his collar, but the new Samir closed his eyes for a moment. Does his behavior define me, or does my response define me? He let the man pass. And for the first time in years, Samir felt powerful, not because he fought, but because he didn't. As weeks turned into months, Samir discovered something extraordinary. By not reacting, he saved his energy. He saw situations more clearly. He kept his dignity. He gained respect. When his boss criticized him at a new job, Samir simply nodded, took notes, and improved. When his friend made a sarcastic joke, he smiled and let it go. When traffic tested his patience, he turned on music instead of his anger. People began to notice. Samir has changed, they whispered. He's calmer, stronger, wiser. And for the first time, Samir began to feel truly free. But life always tests you when you least expect it. One night, while leaving his office, Samir saw Imran, the same classmate who once mocked him in college. Imran, now drunk and bitter, staggered towards him. "Samir, you think you're better than me now? You think you've made it?" Imran shouted. A crowd gathered. The old Samir would have thrown a punch. His hands even trembled with the urge. But deep inside, a stronger voice whispered, "The power is in not reacting." He looked Imran in the eyes and simply walked away. That single choice protected his career, his reputation, and his peace. Years later, Samir became a respected mentor in his community. People came to him not because he was the loudest or the strongest, but because he was the calmest. He had discovered the secret. Not reacting is not weakness. It is ultimate strength. He rebuilt his relationships, he found new love, he succeeded in his career. And most importantly, he lived with peace. The truth is this: you cannot control the world. You cannot control what people say, what they do, or how life treats you. But you can control one thing: your reaction. And that choice makes all the difference. Samir's life changed not because the world became easier, but because he learned the secret of not reacting. Imagine what could happen if you learned the same thing. How many battles would you avoid? How many relationships would you save? How much peace would you gain? Remember this: the strongest person is not the one who can fight or shout the loudest, but the one who can stay calm when the storm rages. That is the power of not reacting. And it is a secret that can change your life forever. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who struggles with anger and reactions. And if you believe more people should learn these life-changing lessons, like, comment, and subscribe to Life Lessons Library, where every story is a reminder that wisdom is the true strength.